Hello, everybody. Today we are going to discuss circles and the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so let's take a look here at our first problem. We have a circle that has a ray TA that is tangent to the circle N at point A. TA, so this distance from here to here is 12 square root of 3 centimeters. Find the area of the shaded region. Okay, so we know that this thing is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. And so that tells us that this distance right here is 12 centimeters. Because remember, the sides of a 30, 60, 90 have a ratio of x to 2x to x times the square root of 3 all the time. So if this one's 12 square root of 3, this one's going to be 12, this one's going to be 24. We don't really need the 24. Okay, now let's calculate the area because we have the radius. So if you think about this, the area of a circle is pi radius squared. And then what we would do is we have this sector right here that we would cut that off. So we could subtract 60 360ths of the area of that circle. Okay, that's just 1/6 if I reduce this. So this would be pi radius squared minus 1/6 pi radius squared. That's just going to be 5/6 pi radius squared. Okay, and we know that our radius is 12. So this becomes 5/6 pi times 144. Okay, so 144 divided by 6, that's going to be 24. So it's 5 times pi times 24, which becomes 120 pi square centimeters. Is that right? 24 times 5? 20? Yep, 120. Okay. So this is 120 pi square centimeters for the area. And if I needed to multiply that out by 3.14, I could do that. Okay, but that's the exact answer. Okay, let's move right along to our next figure. We've got this circle right here. We know that AB is 6. Okay, this is 6. We know that BC is 8. And we know it's a right triangle. Now, this is important to know it's a right triangle because what it tells us is if this is an inscribed angle because its vertex is right here on the circle, that tells us its intercepted arc is 180 degrees. So that tells us that this arc right here is 180 degrees. And that in turn tells us that this right here cuts across exactly half the circle, so that's the diameter. Okay, so if I find this, I can find the area. So that forms a right triangle. I can use the Pythagorean theorem. If I call this x, x squared is equal to 6 squared plus 8 squared. So x squared is 36 plus 64. So x squared is 100, which tells me x is 10 centimeters. That tells me that the radius is half of that. That's 5 centimeters. Okay, so now I can find the area of the circle easily because we know that the area is pi radius squared. So that's going to be pi times 5 squared, which is 25 pi square centimeters. And again, if I needed to know a decimal approximation of that, I just multiply that out. Okay, moving right along. This is called an annulus. Okay, an annulus is a circle within a circle. And we have some information here. We know that it has a chord of 36 centimeters. So AB is 36. We know that this chord right here is also tangent to the radius here. So that tells us that that's got to be a 90-degree angle. Okay? Now, if that's a 90-degree angle, that tells us that, well, we also knew that angle TOA, so TOA, this angle is 45 degrees, which tells us that this angle over here is 45 degrees. That's a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. So I now know, since this is 36 and this is tangent that's perpendicular, it also cuts this in half. So this is 18 centimeters and this is 18 centimeters, which tells us this is 18 centimeters as well. And remember, a 45, 45, 90 is x to x times the square root of 2. So this is 18 times the square root of 2. And now I can find the area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that bigger circle. We'll call that pi big R radius squared. And we're going to subtract the area of the little one. We'll call that pi little r squared. Okay? And so the area is going to be pi times the radius of the big circle is 18 square root of 2. So 18 square root of 2 squared minus pi times the radius of the small circle, which is just going to be 18 squared. So this is going to be 18 times 18 times 2. Remember this right here, 18 square root of 2 squared is going to be 18 square root of 2 times 18 square root of 2. So that's 324 times 2. That's going to be 648 pi minus, this is going to be 324 pi. And if I subtract those, that's going to be 324 pi square centimeters. Okay, so this blue ring right here is half the area of the big circle, because the other half is in the area of the small circle right there. Okay, exciting stuff. Let's look at this weird shaped yellow section here. So, a little technical glitch, I think. Let's kind of clean this up a bit. Okay, I think that stands out just a little bit better. Okay, so I got to find the area of the shaded region. So I'm going to start with the area of the whole circle. So area is going to be pi times the radius squared. And I need to subtract out the area of this sector right here. So in order to do that, that's going to be pi times the radius squared. But it's going to be a fraction of it. I need to know this angle n right here. So that's going to be n out of 360. Okay, now I know the radius is 24 because it tells me that right here. So I can go ahead and plug that in. Pi times 24 squared minus something over 360 times pi times 24 squared. Okay, what's that something? Well, I have a little bit of a clue out here, because this is 105, which means that, let's get a different color here. That means this angle right here is 105 degrees. Now I've got a quadrilateral right here. That means it has 360 degrees in it. 105 of them are right there, so let's take those out. Okay, that's going to be 255 left. Now, if this is 90, that means this side over here is 90, and the same thing over here. So that's 180 degrees I'm going to take out. That leaves 75 degrees. That's going to go right there. So this is 75 out of 360. Okay. So let's see, 24 squared is 576. Minus, oh my gosh. Let's see, this is going to be something times pi times 576. Okay, I'm gonna have to grab a calculator on this. Hang on 1 second. Let's see here. So 75 divided by 360. That's 0.2083 repeating. Okay. So we'll just multiply that times 576. That's 120. So let's see. This was 75 out of 360. Okay, so that came out to be, oops, I forgot what that came out to be. 120. So this is 120 pi right here. And this is 576 pi. And so that's going to be 456 pi. And that's going to be in square units because we didn't have a unit. Okay, there we go. All right, what do we have on this one? Find the area of the shaded region here. Okay. Oh, and I was supposed to give you one more angle on this thing. This has to be 30 degrees right there. There we go. Okay. So, I need to find the area of the orange. So we're going to find the area of the entire circle. That's going to be pi radius squared. We've got to be able to calculate the radius. Okay, so if this is a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, this has a ratio of x squared to 3 to x to 2x. So this would be 8, and this would be 16, which means the radius is going to be 8. So we're going to substitute that in here, pi times 8 squared. Now, that's going to be the area of the entire circle. So what are we going to do with that? Well, first of all, we need to get rid of this half of the circle because we don't need it. So we're going to take half of this. Okay, so that's going to be 32 pi. Now I need to get rid of this triangle right here. So that's going to be minus half the base times the height. Well, this is going to be the base. This is going to be the height. So that's going to be 8 times 8 squared root of 3. Okay, so this is 64. Half of that is 32. So this is going to be 32 pi minus 32 square root of 3. Okay, so we're going to need a calculator to figure that out. This is my exact answer, by the way. So this would be in square units. Okay, but that's not a very good answer, so let's go figure it out here. 32, oops, I can't do that. Let's go 32 times 3.14. That's going to be 100.48. Okay, so let's do this. This is going to be 100.48 minus, this is approximately, by the way. Okay, and then we've got 32 times the square root of 3. So let's go 3 and square root that times 32. And we're going to get 55.42 for that. So 55.42. That's going to be approximately 45.06 square units. So either one of these would be acceptable answers. All right. So there we go. So here's a little assignment for you to work on. Have fun with that, and I will see you guys tomorrow.